Here are the video answer key solutions for the final exam study guide. Feel free to check the description for timestamps regarding Part 1 integer operations, Part 2 rational numbers, or Part 3 proportional relationships. Let's begin. Show your work for each problem. Number 1. Select the expression that equals -7 minus -12. So whenever we have a problem like this, we want to look at the middle first. And we notice that if the signs are the same, then our final operation has to be a positive. If the signs are different, then the final operation must be a negative. In this case, we have a minus negative, and those are the same signs, so it's a positive. So we will rewrite the problem as -7 plus 12, which matches with answer C. Problem 2. The number line shows 4 elevations in Death Valley National Park. Find the difference in feet between the elevation at Zabriskie Point and Furnace Creek. So whenever we are finding the difference, that means we are subtracting. So let's look at Zabriskie Point, right here at 648, and Furnace Creek, which is at -178. So to find the difference, we take 648 minus -178. And as we discussed earlier, when the signs are the same, that means we are adding. So 648 plus 178. 648 plus 178. 16. 4 plus 7 is 11. Plus 1 is 12. 1 plus 6 plus 1 is 8. So the answer is 826 feet. Another way to approach this problem is by looking at the distance from 0. So Zabriskie Point from 0 is a total of 648. And Furnace Creek from 0 is a difference of 178. And you just add these two values together, and once again, you get 826. For problems 3 and 4, values for x, y, and z are graphed on the number line shown. So x is at -2, y is at 2, and z is at 4. Use the number line to evaluate each expression. Select A, B, or C to indicate whether the expression is less than 0, equal to 0, or greater than 0. So this means less than, this means equal, and this means greater than. So first problem, x minus z. Okay, so x minus z. X in this case is -2 minus z. Z is 4. So -2 minus 4. Well, -2 minus 4 is equal to -6 because I have 2 negatives and I have 4 more negatives. And in total we have 6 negatives. We can also use a number line to show that. -2 means I go back 2. And then -4 means I'm going back 4 more. So that gives us -6. So now on to number 4, which says z plus x. Z is 4. Plus x. X is -2. In this problem, we have different signs. The 4, the plus, and the minus. So different signs means we are subtracting. 4 minus 2. 4 minus 2 is equal to 2. So for number 3, our answer is -6, so that's less than 0. And for number 4, our answer is +2, which is greater than 0. Number 5, find the value of -8 times 45 times 1/8. Whenever you see parentheses, it means we are multiplying. So -8 times 45 times 1/8. So we're going to take a look specifically at -8 and 1/8. And if we multiply -8 times 1/8, -8 can be written as -8 over 1. And -8 times 1 is -8. And 1 times 8 is 8. So that simplifies to -1. Now we just need to multiply the 45 that we did not use yet. And -1 times 45, the signs are different. So our answer has to be -45. Another way of going about this problem is by multiplying from left to right. So negative 8 times 45. So 8 times 45 is going to give us 5 times 8 is 40. Bring up the 4, and 4 times 8 is 32, plus 4 is 36. So 360. And remember, negative times a positive, the signs are different, so our answer has to be negative 360. Now we take that negative 360 and we multiply it by our last value, 1/8. And negative 360 can be written as negative 360 over 1. And 360 times 1 is negative 360, and 1 times 8 is 8. And if you take negative 360 divided by 8 using some division, you will get an answer of negative 45 also. Okay, on to number 6, which is part 2, rational numbers. Find the value of 3/4 plus 7/12 minus negative 4. So, if we want to do this, we'll add the fractions up first, and then we'll add the whole number at the end. So, if we want to add the fractions up, we need to find a common denominator. So, 4 and 12, they share 12 as a common denominator, so we multiply denominator by 3 and the numerator by 3 also. And our new fraction, simplified, will be 9 over 12. Then we add 7/12. 9/12 plus 7/12 is going to give us 16/12. And if we take 16/12 minus negative 4, recall that minus negative means the signs are the same, so we write 16/12 plus 4. And another way to write 16/12 is 1 and 4/12 plus 4. And 4/12 can be simplified to 1 and 1/3 plus 4. So that gives us 5 and 1/3 as our final answer. Problem 7. Find the value of 2.1 plus negative 3 minus negative 0.9. So let's add these up first together. The signs are different, so that means we're subtracting. 2.1 minus 3. Okay, and we can write this as 3.0. So 2.1 minus 3.0, that means we're going to have a negative number. So let's do 3.0 minus 2.1. 3.0 minus 2.1 is going to give us 0.9. So we have a negative 0.9 because 2 is a smaller number than negative 3 in this case. So we have negative 0.9, and then we subtract negative 0.9, what we didn't use earlier. And recall that whenever we have the signs that are the same, that means we're adding. So our new problem is negative 0.9 plus 0.9. So that means we go on the number line left, 0.9, and then we go to the right, 0.9, which basically gives us 0. Number 8, select all possible values equivalent to negative 11 over 9. So in this problem, we'll see for A, we have two negatives, and if the signs are the same, that means the answer ends up being a positive 11/9. And what we want is negative 11/9, so it can't be A. It can't be B also because 11 over 9, if we do some division, 9 goes in 11 one time, and you subtract 9 now, and you have 2. So it should say 1 and 2/9, not negative 2 and 1/9. So it can't be B. For C, we have these two negatives. That makes a positive. So negative, positive 11/9. But recall that whenever we have signs that are different, that changes it into negative 11/9. So it's C. And then as we did earlier, 11 divided by 9 is 1 and 2/9. But we have a negative in the very beginning. So this should also say negative. So the answers are C and D. Find the decimal equivalent of 13/8. So whenever you have a fraction, you can always use long division to figure out what the decimal is. 8 goes into 13 one time. 13 minus 8 is 5. Bring down the 0. 8 goes into 50 6 times. Don't forget the decimal to line it up. 6 times 8 is 48. Subtract and you get 2. Bring down another 0. 8 goes into 20 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16. subtract, you get 4, bring down another 0, and 8 goes into 40 5 times. 8 times 5 is 40, subtract, and you get 0. So our answer for 13/8 is 1.625. Number 10. Which number line model represents the sum of 1.25 plus negative 3/4? So if we have 1.25 on a number line, here's 1, here's 2. That means we're going to our right 1.25, a little past 1. And we're adding negative 3/4. That means 3/4 is less than 1, so we're going back to the left 3/4. Okay, so this is adding 1.25, and this is subtracting 3/4. So your answer should be somewhere in between 0 and 1. Now, which of these answer choices looks like the work we just did? It can't be A because they're both going to the right, and we're supposed to go to the right first and then to the left. Can't be B because it's going both to the left. It could be C or D because both of them start going to the right and then going to the left. However, look at where it ends. This ends between 0 and 1, and this one ends at the negative area. Negative 1 and 0. So it has to be C and it can't be D. It's the positive answer. Okay, on to the next part, which is part 3, proportional relationships. Number 11. Isabella is planning a trip to Western Samoa. Before going, she conducted some research and learned that the exchange rate is 6 tala for $2. How many tala would she need to exchange for $6? So 6 tala for $2. How many tala, so we don't know how many tala she needs to exchange for $6. Well, if we're at $2 and we want to get to 6, we can multiply by 3. And we do the same thing to the numerator. 6 times 3 means x has to equal 18 tala. That's our answer. This table, number 12, this table shows a proportional relationship between the number of cups of sugar and flour used for a recipe. Determine the number of cups of sugar used for 1 cup of flour. So they give us 5 cups, 15 cups, and 20 cups of flour, but they don't give us 1 cup of flour. If we're at 5 cups of flour and we want to get to 1, we can divide by 5. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. 2 divided by 5. 2 divided by 5. Well, 5 doesn't go into 2, but 5 does go into 20. And we'll line up our decimal. 5 goes into 20 4 times. And if we subtract, we have no remainder. So the number of cups of sugar needed is 0.4. Number 13. Which table does not represent a proportional relationship between x and y? Recall that for a table to be proportional, all the k values must be the same. Okay, all the k values must be equivalent. And to find the k value, we take y over x. Y always comes first. So let's check out each one. 2 divided by 1 gives us 2. 4 divided by 2 gives us 2. And 6 divided by 3 gives us 2. So for each of our k values of y over x, they give us 2 each. So this is proportional. For the second one, 4 divided by 2 is 2. 16 divided by 4 gives us 4. And 36 divided by 6 gives us 6. That means B is non-proportional. And for C, 15 divided by 3 gives us 5. 30 divided by 6 gives us 5. And 45 divided by 9 gives us 5. The k values are all the same, so therefore this is proportional. Recall that the question says which does not represent a proportional relationship. Does not. So it has to be B, since the k values are not equivalent. 14. Select the graph that represents proportional relationships between x and y. Recall that a proportional relationship is when the line goes through the origin. Okay? The origin is 0, 0, and a line must be straight, not curvy. So A does go through the origin, but it is not a line, it is a curve. B does not go through the origin. It goes through, looks like -3. And C does go through the origin and it forms a straight line. So the answer is C. And for our last problem, this graph, 15, this graph shows a proportional relationship between x and y. Find the constant proportionality k. Using the value for k, write the equation in the form of y equals kx. So recall that on a graph, y is the vertical axis and x is the horizontal axis. To find the k value, we'll need to find some points first on this graph. We have a point right here, another point over here, and another point over here, as well as up here. And the coordinates for each of these points, 3, 10, 3, 10. And for our second point is 6, 20. Our third point is 9, 30. And our last point is 12, 40. And recall that whenever we're trying to find the k value, we write it as y over x. Our y for our first point is 10, and our x is 3. So 10 over 3. And you want to find the k values for the other ones, you're going to get something very similar, where the y is 20 and the x is 6. And then for the third one, the y is 30 and the x is 9. And for the last one, the y is 40 and the x is 12. These are all equivalent fractions, 10 over 3, 20 over 6, 30 over 9, or 40 over 12. So when we want to write our equation, you can just use the simplest form, y equals 10 over 3x. You can also convert 10 over 3 to a decimal. So you can write 10 divided by 3 is 3.3 repeating x.